Hi everybody, DK here with Mr. V Amps, and we're kind of looking at a close-up. This is Return to Earth Part 5. In Part 4 I started recapping, and I got the top row over here, tubes done, and the 50-50 on the bias circuit. And I'm just going to continue. I got one over here, and then we've got the legendary, apparently they're legendary because somebody didn't hear about them, the Beaver capacitors. These are Cornell Dublé Beavers. Those are going to get replaced. This one, that one, the big Mallory down here will get replaced. We got another one over here. The only thing that'll probably be interesting to watch, maybe, kinda, I'm going to have to try and be a little bit creative when we do the filter capacitor here, the 20-20-20. I did not buy a replacement can for that. We're going to be using, standalones, and the wire lengths may prove to be a bit of an issue. We've got, this one over here. We've got one wire, this one with one wire, and then we've got this one with two wires. This is probably, because this looks like a big old transformer lead to our output transformer, so our B plus is probably right there. Being filtered, and we just, we don't want to mess any of this jazz up. So I'll try to be careful, and we'll come back and have a look at what we've gotten once we get a little bit more of this recapped. Okay, so that went really fast on your video, but it sure didn't go really fast here. This 20-20-20 can cap, I soldered in a terminal strip. I made both ends, the grounds, equal potential, and I had to extend the wire off the choke. So we've got our first rail and our second rail after the 1K resistor, and then we have our third rail here, and then after our third row of filtering, we actually come all the way over here, and this is your fourth rail through another 450K. In the process of snipping that mess off of the filter capacitor, our vintage 1K resistor went kaboom into two pieces, so we replaced that, and the 4.7K. This one, the leads are just too short now to really be usable in this circuit. So all of our recapping is done. I'm okay with this. Per usual, I wish it were prettier or something. I always, you can wish in one hand and poo in the other and see which one fills up first. But, it's... it should be functional, it should be okay, and it kind of maintains the original layout of the amp. Some other things I was kind of glad to do, like here on this big 450, I took the mounting ring and just bent it and folded it over and made it a mounting ring for a smaller capacitor, so hooray. Interestingly enough, this amp appears to have its own, on the switch here, appears to have its own little dummy load on the output transformer, which is a nice feature. We might just be able to make use of that. And apparently I need to answer. I promised you all some, in the title of the video, I promised you all some dead beavers. So there's a dead beaver, and here's the really, that side looks dusty, that side is got a big giant zit and it's blowing up. So there's two dead beavers for you. Okay. So I already did the ones on the bottom, but I'm just going to take a moment to clean these potentiometers because they were scratchy before. We're using our Max Pro electrical lubricant, or electronics lubricant. This stuff is a nice cleaning product, and we're using that because I knew about it long before that other guy did. Okay, got 4 of them to do, and then we're going to attempt to power up with no tubes. and just check for some voltages and make sure nothing blows up. And then we'll proceed a little bit further. Boy, that's a gummy. That pot feels really gummy. Okay, so we're plugged into the wall. Let's try our power switch, wherever the hell that's at. Let's find it. It's over here, I think. There we go. And okay, I should have a power light, which I can't see from this angle. I can see it if I look over the top. Yes, power light's on. And no explosions. So I'll take it off a standby, and this is where something's going to go kabang, because that's going to put power across a lot of those new capacitors. And no kabang. So maybe it's a delayed kabang. Then again, this is not Electro Boom's channel. I don't intentionally try to goof. Okay, so let's bring our voltmeter up and let's just check for a few of our mission critical voltages here. Just see if we have bias, about 42 volts of bias, minus 42 volts of bias. Now if we're going to install new tubes in this, I'd like to crank that up to a higher bias, which should cut those tubes off. Let's see, it goes up to 65 maximum and down to 37. So they were running these tubes pretty toasty. Let's put it up at 50. Put it about 52.9, 53. There you go, 53. Well, it said 0 when I showed it to you. Just take my word for it, it's 52. Alright, so our tubes will probably not sound good. We've got, again, unloaded, I've got 495 plate volts here, 493, which has come up. If I remember when I checked this before, it was like 480 something. So that seems to have come up a little bit. And I'm just checking a few of these, make sure we got, yep. Alright, so now with our new filter caps we do have a higher voltage to tend to, but that's okay. I think it's going to be okay to plug our tubes in and see what it does. Okay, so we're ready to install our tubes here. I've got OEM type 6L6GCs. They are 6L6GCs. They are new, they have been tested, they have been matched. They are generic. But that's okay as long as they work. That one doesn't want to go in the slot. It's giving me the finger. Standby. Okay, so those have an extremely tight fit, but they fit. Those are grippy tube sockets. Okay, power. And we have illumination. Should be a light on there I'm looking for. Oh yeah, we got the power light. Okay, good. And we have filament glow, 3. It's really hard to see in the preamp tubes, but it's there. Okay, so we got all of that jazz. Let's make sure this thing is turned down so I don't pee my pants when we turn it on. Let's get our sacrificial speaker. Actually, this thing has its own little dummy load. I wonder if we could like test against our dummy load. That'd be kind of cool instead of having to go get one. And our tripod is tangled in the wire for my speaker. Stand by. Okay, so we've got tubes in here. We've got them warmed up. I've got a power lead in here. This is the point where bad things are really going to happen, if they're going to happen. Coming off of standby in 3, 2, 1. And what's really funny is I saw the reflection of my own hand over here by the power transformer, and to me it looked like smoke. And that's just me being paranoid. The speaker made a little bit of a thump, which it does. I don't hear much humming, but I do have sound. Alright. Alright, cool. Boy, that thing can make that speaker jump. So let's inject a tone in this, and then we can probably take a look at the tone. I'm sure we got a crap ton of crossover distortion in here, you know, due to the tubes the way they're biased. Because I've got the bias voltage up, which should cause crossover distortion. Okay, so we got a speaker on the floor rattling around. When I had the bias to very, very cold, the tubes obviously didn't even want to conduct much, and the amp was not tremendously loud. I turned it up a little bit. We have accomplished volume. We still need to set our bias correctly, but we've got a adequately loud amplifier right now that is humming only because of the guitar being close to it, but it's actually really, really, really quiet otherwise. So I think we'll proceed to give it a bath next, because if I'm cleaning around here I might bump the bias pots or something like that. So we're going to give it a bath, and then we will proceed on to get it biased and get it cosmetically cleaned up. But I think we're winning here.